welcome, Leo. So nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
That's okay. I actually reached out to you because I loved your content so much and I love what you do. So I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you are promoting on your Instagram.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm Leontine, but everyone calls me Leo because it's easier. I'm originally from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, but me and my family moved to Bali about a year ago and are having the best time of our lives, but we'll probably get to that later. And back home I used to work as a criminal investigator. Like I did something completely different and I loved that for a while, but I kind of felt like there was something more to be done, or that it wasn't quite fulfilling me the way I hoped it would. So after 10 years of doing that, I really felt a strong urge to do something different. And and I think that's when the whole seeds got planted in my system to wanting to move to Bali with my family and just have a completely different life than the life we had in Amsterdam.
Yeah, okay. What was that moment, that pivotal moment where you're like, I need to move to Bali? Because Bali is so far away from the Netherlands.
I know. Well, I think I've always felt very much at home in Asia. The first time I went to Asia, I was 22 with my best friend, and I just remember arriving in Thailand and I just instantly felt like I was home.
Wow. Okay.
Just everything resonated so much. The climate, which is of course much better than the weather in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
The people, the food, like the whole vibe, just it felt like coming home. So ever since I made a lot of trips to Southeast Asia. And I think that's when it started all those years ago. Like the seed was planted, like maybe I could live here one day.
Okay.
And then that kind of moved to the background again, and life happened as it does.
As it does, yeah.
And I met my husband 13 years ago. We got 2 beautiful children, got 2 boys. They're 7 and 8 years old now.
Beautiful.
And back in 2019, my husband got the opportunity to get a job in Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay, yep. Wow.
And that's when we moved over there.
Yep.
Because we both have that bit of adventurous spirit. So we were like, let's go for it. This sounds like a cool adventure. And we both always felt very strongly that moving abroad would be part of our life together. We both had that dream and ambition. So New Zealand came along and we went for it. But that turned out a bit different than we hoped for and expected, because
Whereabouts in New Zealand did you locate to?
We located to Auckland.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep. Very cold.
It was indeed not as warm as I hoped it would be.
Yeah.
Like you expect to arrive in this beautiful tropical
I think
country.
a lot of people do that with New Zealand, to be honest.
It was quite cold, and we moved to the suburbs in Takapuna, which is a beautiful area. I don't know if you know it, but it's close to the beach and it ticked all the boxes. But for me, coming from Amsterdam, where we lived right in the center of the city and we had this crazy busy social life and everything was always hip and happening and we were busy and both worked, and then all of a sudden we moved to the suburbs in New Zealand and I was at home with a 1.5 and a 3-year-old all day, and I was like, okay, this is not quite how I imagined this adventure would be, which was kind of naive because it is something I could have thought of before.
But you went out and you did it and you tried it.
We did it, yeah.
Which is like probably that little step that you needed to get you where you are now.
Probably, yeah. It definitely enhanced the feeling that we did like the life abroad, but then COVID happened because we moved in 2019, and 4 months in living in Auckland, the pandemic happened and the whole of New Zealand got locked up. We were locked in our house for about 7-8 weeks. And then in New Zealand it was under control.
Yeah.
Like we could do our stuff again. But our family wasn't allowed to visit anymore because they kind of locked New Zealand for 2 years for people flying in.
Yeah, quite similar to Australia in that sense, or even Victoria per se.
Exactly, it was really strict, right? Yeah, and then after a year we decided to go home because it was never our intention not to see our parents, for example, for years on end. So we decided to go back to Amsterdam. So there was 2 big moves with 2 small kids in 1 year. And then I could get my old job back in Amsterdam. Leonard, my husband, got a new job pretty fast. And before I knew it, we were like back into our life there again, like nothing had happened. And I just remember feeling so like, oh my God, so this was it? This was that beautiful adventure that was promised to us, and now we're back exactly where we started, like ground zero. And that's when I began to hit a wall. And began to feel really like something's off. I just wasn't happy. My life ticked all the boxes. Like I had a beautiful family, I lived in a beautiful house, I had amazing friends, my parents were still healthy and alive and close to us, and still I didn't feel fulfilled for some reason. And that's when I really started looking for all these different tools to kind of figure out what's going on. So I feel like a lot of women, I think I was in my late 30s then, with a young family, kind of hit this wall at some point, because you've been giving so much of yourself to your family and your career and doing what has always been expected of you. And then I kind of reached this point of, but does this really make me happy? Does this really light me up? If I could choose all the sorts of lives in the world, would this be the life I would be living? And the answer was no. And then I stumbled across the book The Artist Way. Do you know that? By Julia Cameron. It's a really beautiful book that spreads over 11 weeks of assignments to spark your creativity again.
Oh, amazing.
And one of the tools that helped me the most from that book was the morning pages. Do you know that? It's a journaling tool.
Journaling is so powerful.
It's so powerful. And the book started with that. Like for the next 11 weeks, you're going to do your morning pages. And it's basically, as soon as you wake up, before doing anything else, before reaching for your phone, especially not. You grab your journal and you start writing 3 pages with whatever comes up.
Amazing.
So it's kind of a thought dump on paper.
Love that. And that's as soon as you wake up,
As soon as you wake up, when you're still in this kind of in-between phase of being awake and being asleep, when you can really reach that deep consciousness and those deep thoughts.
I was about to say, because when you're sleeping, you're tapping into that subconscious. So if you're still just waking up, you probably have a level of reach to that. So
and you just start writing, and it doesn't have to make any sense. It's not for anyone else to read. Even at the beginning, I found it quite hard, and sometimes you just write, I don't know what to write, but just keep going, and eventually you'll get into the flow, and you'll just start writing down your deepest wishes, dreams, fears, whatever you wake up with, basically. So I did that for 11 weeks, and then after 11 weeks, I was home alone, and I decided to grab my journal and read all those pages back in one go. And well, that was the game changer, because that reveals so much of the same patterns that keep showing up in your journal.
Love that.
I really want to recommend to anyone kind of struggling with big life questions to start doing this, because wow. And then what came up was really confronting, and I didn't want to hear it at first, but it was every time I had a big drinking night, because I was a big social drinker from the age of 15 Always, every celebration, every party, every weekend, every Thursday night, every reason basically, we would drink. Me and my friends, me and my husband. It's just part of life.
And I feel like the Netherlands as well, a lot of people from there tend to have that more like social, lively element to them.
Yes.
From what I've noticed. Yeah, a bit like Australians.
A bit like, I think very much like Australians, and it all, like all the get-togethers all evolve around drinking together. That's just the kind of the glue that keeps it all together.
Yep.
But when I read my journal, every time I'd had one of those drinking nights, I would write the next morning, oh my God, I feel horrible. Why do I keep doing this to myself? I feel like shit. I'm dreading the day in front of me. Yeah. I feel like I can't show up as the mom I need to show up as for my kids. I feel like I'm not there 100%. And I just keep doing this to myself. And every time I would tell myself to just stick to one glass of wine, it would turn into 2 or 3 and then a whole bottle and sometimes 2 bottles on a fun night. Yep. And I'd wake up feeling so disappointed in myself and so
everyone can
bad.
Relate to that. Yeah. I don't think there's many of us that wake up not feeling that, to be honest.
Exactly, yeah. And so for me, reading all that was the biggest wake-up moment I could have had.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then I really saw that I had all these dreams, like I had a dream of moving to Bali, a dream of starting my own company. But all of a sudden I could see really clearly that alcohol, instead of being the friend that I thought it was actually the thing that was sabotaging me from getting to where I wanted to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that became more and more clear.
So what was that pivotal point that you actually was like, I'm going to quit? Like, and how did you move into that space? Because especially when society, or especially your friends and whatnot, are surrounded by that kind of mentality, how did you take that step forward? How did you build that action towards that?
That was really hard, and it still took me, I think, about a good year and a half before I quit completely. But it started by I started reading a lot about it, like informing myself about alcohol and what it does to your system and to your brain, and found that really interesting.
Well, it's literally poisoning your body.
Yeah.
It's literally poison.
It's poison, yeah, that's what it is. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts from people who had already quit, and found that really inspirational, and also kind of started to think, well, if she can quit, then maybe I can quit as well. Because a lot of people had very similar stories of always drinking a lot in social situations, and that was kind of new to me, because a lot of people think that if you have trouble quitting alcohol, that you're an alcoholic, or that you need to go to the AA or go to the 12-step program or something. And there's this whole other category of what I'd like to call gray area drinkers that drink too much, but they still function normally in society. Like they still have good careers and families, and they don't mess things up, but they're just not performing at their full capacity, and they kind of sense that, and they can never stop after one glass. And when I started hearing more stories of those same gray area drinkers, I kind of started recognizing myself in those stories and thinking, that's me.
Absolutely.
And there's no shame in that, because alcohol is a highly addictive substance.
And it's socially accepted.
That's so legal, normalized.
And it's legal as well, which blows my mind, because there's so many other things that are from the earth, or like plant medicine, that we can't actually, touch, or it's socially accepted. And then we've got alcohol, which is literally poisoning our body.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
And people don't even realize they might have an issue.
Yeah, it's really crazy how alcohol kind of took that role in society, and I think all the big companies have done their marketing really well.
Absolutely.
Look at wine, for example. Wine is marketed as this highly sophisticated drink.
Yep.
Like if you order a expensive bottle of wine and you know a lot about wine, you're a very accomplished person. You know, so even like the status alcohol gives people, or the identity almost, it's insane. Well, basically it's just poison in a bottle, messing with your organs, with your brain chemistry, with your hormones.
Hormones is a big one.
That's a big one.
One thing as women we're starting to find out about more now.
Yeah.
So we haven't done much research, but yeah, hormones, very interesting.
So, so it took a good year and a half to finally really quit. Like I would quit for dry January and then get back to it. I would quit for 2 or 3 months even. And then come Christmas, I would be like, well, I can have a glass of wine for Christmas, and then whoop, right back to where I started. It doesn't take much, no. And that's when I kind of found out that I'm the all or nothing person when it comes to drinking. I wish I could be that girl who could drink just 1 glass of wine, but I just know that I can't.
But it's fantastic that you've grown awareness to that as well.
Yeah.
And you know your limits, and you know what, it's just best if I don't touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you go with your friends and family around this? Was it a supportive environment, or was it quite difficult? And what's maybe some of the tools that you use to move through that? Because it can be quite difficult.
It is quite difficult, but I did find that most of my friends were really supportive.
Amazing, yep.
I did have some fear around maybe losing some of my friends because, well, drinking is just what we did together, you know?
Yep.
But they were all really supportive, and what was funny was we threw a party once on a Saturday, and I just quit alcohol like 1 month in. So I made sure I had a lot of nice mocktails and alternatives to alcohol. And then at the end, half of the party were drinking the mocktails. Because they all said, oh, actually, I'll have a mocktail too, because I really don't want to feel like shit tomorrow. So it was almost like they were happy that there was someone else giving them the opportunity to not have to drink.
Yeah. And I think something about this space that's so powerful is when you start moving in that kind of energy, it has a ripple effect. And it rubs off on other people. All it takes is someone to kind of show up and actually take charge in that space, and then they can go, oh, okay, that's not so bad. And then people start following through. So it's amazing that you've kind of been a leader in that.
It was, and I remember sitting at dinner parties completely sober, and then at one point you kind of see the people around you getting drunk. And then I would always already feel so happy and empowered just by thinking, oh my God, I am going to feel so much better than they're going to feel tomorrow morning. And I remember a friend of my husband, the next morning, he had this app that measures your body battery, I think through one of those watches. And the next morning, like after that dinner party and drinking a lot, and having slept all night, he woke up with a body battery of 5%.
Wow.
And he sent me a screenshot of that, and he said, I bet you feel much better now. And those were like moments that made me stick with it.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. And I've never heard of the battery watch either. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those Apple...
Probably combines like water intake and then how much rest you got. And
if you reach the deep sleep state, which you don't. Spoiler alert, you don't reach that state when you drink even 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol. So,
So tell us a little bit more about the effects alcohol has that maybe not many people realise, even a small amount to a large amount, that you've learnt along your studies or self-development as well.
Well, I think a big one is sleep. Like if you don't drink any alcohol, then you reach those deep REM cycles of sleep at least 3 to 4 times a night. And that's when you really rest well. But even after drinking 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol, you only reach that deep state sleep once a night. And the rest is like kind of in between. So your body's not really resting. So that's why even after a small amount of alcohol, you can wake up feeling exhausted. And what was also an interesting one is you hear this from a lot of people as a reason to why they drink is I drink to relax after a busy day.
Yeah.
And it does feel like that because it kind of numbs your nervous system and your brain for a bit when you drink. But because it numbs it, what your body does as a counter reaction to that is produce extra stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline.
Okay.
So you think you drink to relax, but the opposite is happening in your body. Your body is actually getting more stressed out.
Yeah.
And that's also a reason why you often wake up at 3 a.m. at night after drinking a lot, not being able to get back to sleep because your body is in such a state of stress with so much adrenaline and cortisol.
Wow, that's really, I did not know that.
So like facts, the scientific facts around alcohol are really interesting, I think, and help me a lot to let go of it, because the more you learn about it, the more ridiculous it seems to you to drink a glass of alcohol. And if you know too much, and now I'm at the point where I just know too much, I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when you spoke about your nervous system as well, I think something that we're not really aware of is regulating our nervous system, and how many people are actually functioning off a really high functioning nervous system. And as you said, they use alcohol without even realizing to kind of relax and numb it. So is there any techniques that you've found that help maybe you regulate your nervous system in those moments where you have wanted to reach for a drink, or, you know, during those stages of trying to distance yourself from alcohol?
Yeah, I find several techniques really help me. One of them is moving your body. So whenever I felt that restlessness, for example, on a Friday afternoon, which would be a moment when I would usually have a drink, I would like go for a walk around the neighborhood and listen to a podcast, or go to a yoga class, or just get my body moving. And then, of course, you get a dopamine rush from the moving your body, and you feel really good.
Yeah.
So that helps. I really love music, so for me, putting on my favorite playlist and just blasting it out loud and singing along also helps.
Probably boost that serotonin a little bit.
Exactly,
too. Yeah.
exactly.
Even if you get a little bit of a boogie in as well and get some movement in the body.
Get some movement, yeah, because that's also what alcohol does. It creates an unusual high release of dopamine in your brain, like a dopamine rush. And most people are actually not addicted to alcohol, but they're addicted to that dopamine rush that it gives them, because it's like an instant gratification of feeling really good. So that's why people look forward to having that drink, because you get that rush. But you can get that same rush from exercising or treating yourself to something really nice to eat. But at the beginning, it will always feel a bit less like a rush than the alcohol does. So that's the tricky part. Alcohol has kind of rewired our brain so much to believing that you need alcohol to have fun, or you need it to have a nice life.
Yes.
And it kind of flattens all the other emotions. And I found that after quitting alcohol for a while, I suddenly started to enjoy the little things in life so much more. That before that felt kind of flat, because they were always outshone by alcohol.
Okay, interesting.
For example, I'd be on this beautiful trip with my husband, and we'd be walking around in amazing nature, near a waterfall, like perfect conditions to be at your happiest ever. And all I could think about was the drinks we were going to have soon at the cocktail bar that we were going after. And that was always like a bigger gratification than all the beauty we'd just seen.
Yeah, okay. So it's an opportunity to take in those small moments, that smell the roses per
Smell
se.
the roses, yeah. And you kind of forget about those when you drink alcohol a lot. Because then you think alcohol is the thing that makes you happy. Well, it's actually not. It's actually making you worse in every possible way.
That hits, doesn't it?
Because what is your relationship to alcohol?
So I'm currently sober curious. I've been in and out of, especially through my younger years, like obviously partying was a big thing for Australians, and it's kind of like a social norm. So It was actually when I went into the mines, surprisingly, that I started to drift away from drinking, because it's very structured per se when you go to the mines, and we only allowed four standard drinks. So I started drifting away from that quite a bit. And then when I got home, because FIFO mentality, which you're probably aware of FIFO because you've been to Australia, but FIFO mentality was like, I've got a lot of money, I've just been working really hard, we'll go party. And I'm very grateful I didn't do that element of going out and partying, but I mean, I might have a little party session every now and then, but I started to realize, like, I've only got a week at home. I don't want to ruin that by feeling shit. And the older I've got, the more shit I get.
Yeah.
And it's not like a day hangover anymore. It becomes like a 2 or 3, and sometimes you don't even need to drink that much either. Mm-hmm. So when I actually moved to Bali, that was when I was like, you know what, I'm going to explore sobriety. And I'm probably at that first pinnacle where you notice that it wasn't serving you. So I'm at that moment now where I'm slowly trying to break away from it. I might have like as they say, a little relapse every now and then, but even just talking to you and just highlighting some of the things, and since I've been following you on Instagram as well, your content hits deep. It's really making me shift even more to, as you said, the more you know, the more it stops you from wanting to actually go back and do it. Yeah. So it's been quite an interesting process, but I think there's so much more to life than alcohol and numbing emotions and feelings. And I mean, yes, we have a bit of fun, right? Yeah. In the night, but it's never worth it. I look back and it's never worth it.
It's never worth it.
No.
And come to think of the fact that you're actually numbing the most beautiful moments of your life.
And like, you tend to forget.
I literally had a glass of champagne 2 hours after the birth of my second son, because that was how you celebrated. Yeah. And now when I think of that, that's absolutely insane that I was actually numbing one of the most beautiful. Life-changing moments there are by drinking alcohol. And all the, like my own graduation party, hardly remember it. My best friend's wedding, hardly remember it. Like, it's so stupid when you think of it.
Yeah. So what shifted your mindset the most significantly when you decided to become sober, or once you started practicing that?
Well, I think that I kind of found out that I'd been giving alcohol way too much credit. I kind of always thought that I needed alcohol to have fun, and that I needed alcohol to kind of get socially accepted, because that's how it all started when I was 15 and an awkward teenager and kind of feeling, I don't know what I'm doing in this setting. Yes, alcohol.
Yep.
And that kind of took all the confidence booster. But I kind of shifted my mindset around that, because it's actually very disempowering, if you think of it, that you are putting all of this onto a substance that it's got nothing to do with you. Well, actually, you already have all those qualities inside of you.
Yeah.
So when I kind of took the power away from alcohol and focused more on what was inside of me already, that was the big mindset shift for me.
And even just touching on, like, you posted something the other day about how it lowers your vibration. And I think this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately too, is like, by drinking and doing these sort of things, we actually not allowing our true selves to come out more and explore who we are on a deeper level. And when you posted that post, it just really resonated with me. So go into a little bit more detail about that for me.
Yeah. Well, it's getting a bit more spiritual now.
Yeah,
but
we love that.
We love that.
Yeah.
How I've found that alcohol lowers your vibration is because it actually works as a depressant in your system. So for once, it produces a hormone called dynorphin, and that's what causes you to feel depressed if you drink large quantities of alcohol. So you might have noticed feeling a bit down and depressed, and that can even linger on for days in your system. It's what I always call the mental hangover. And that was actually worse for me than the physical one.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Because that kind of sticks with you for days, and you just feel...
Anxiety.
Oh my God, like, I just felt horrible.
Yeah.
So I kind of found out that drinking alcohol, even though I was just a social drinker, not even drinking on a daily basis, but mostly on weekends, got my whole vibration down. Like I felt not my optimal self for at least 3-4 days a week because of it. And the more I came to realize this, the more I thought like, well, if I don't feel like my optimal self, how on earth am I gonna manifest and attract all the dreams that I have in mind for myself?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know a lot about manifesting, but
I love.
Yeah, me too.
True
it's like my subject.
Yep.
Gabby Bernstein,
Yep.
read all her books, you know.
Amazing. Yeah.
The Secret, everything.
Yep.
And what it teaches you is that in order to attract what you want to attract, you have to feel really good. As long as you feel good and happy, things start to get in flow, and you start to attract the right people and situations and opportunities. But you can imagine if you drink a lot of alcohol and you don't feel like your best self half of the time, and you feel kind of down and out, how on earth are you ever going to reach what you want to reach or accomplish?
Yeah.
So I started to realize that, and I had this dream to move to Bali for about 3 years. And I was manic manifesting it. Like I
love that.
I was on it.
Yeah.
I made vision boards.
Yeah.
I had a vision board as the background on my phone.
Yeah.
I looked at it every day thinking, I'm gonna live there.
It's gonna happen.
This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it wasn't happening. And I got really frustrated at one point.
Do you think you might have wanted it too much?
I wanted it too much,
Yeah, because they say if you over manifest, or you want something, like you want something so bad, then it's overcompensating. The universe kind of goes, no.
Yeah. You have to be happy before you reach it. And I was using it as a tool to become happy. So I kind of got frustrated around this, and I decided to consult a psychic.
Yep. Love that.
And she didn't know anything about me.
Yep.
This was about 2 years ago. And I had a session with her, and one of the first things she said was, you and your family are going to move abroad because that's what you're made for as a family. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then we even thought about moving somewhere else, which was in line with the work I did.
Yep.
And I mentioned it to her, and she didn't really respond to that.
No,
And
not feeling that.
10 minutes later, she said, did you ever consider moving to the eastern side of the world? Because for the last 10 minutes, your soul has been saying Bali, Bali, Bali to me, and I think that's where you're going to move to. And that's when I realized that my intuition was right to go to Bali, but she also said, you have to let go and trust the process. Just surrender to the process. It's going to happen, but the how and when is not up to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to take care of that. So just, she basically said back off and let it happen. I was controlling too much. So this was a big, big moment when I really started to trust my intuition more.
Amazing.
And then I kind of felt like that voice became stronger. And during meditations that I also did in the morning, I had this ritual of doing the morning pages and meditating. I heard this voice more and more often that said, quit alcohol and your life will change so much, you have no idea.
I talk to my clients so much about meditation. It's bizarre to me that we don't do it as a normal ritual every day, because that is really the opportunity to connect with your inner wisdom, your intuition, and it talks to you. That's the crazy thing about it. It literally talks to you.
And first, it took me a while to really trust that this voice was actually my intuition and not something I was making up myself, or was it the voice of my ego? Or But I came to trust this voice. And then finally, September 2023, I quit alcohol completely. And March 2024, we were on a plane to Bali. So call me crazy, but I do really link those two together, because I do believe the moment I quit sabotaging myself with alcohol is when I really started to feel better, level up, higher my rise my frequency, vibration. And that's when I was actually ready to receive the Bali dream.
Yeah. And now tell us a little bit more about like the sober expat. So how you came across that, what made you go, you know what, I actually want to help others do what I've done. When did that all happen?
Well, I think, so we moved here in March 2024, and we both took about a year to, as a bit of a sabbatical, and figure out what we wanted to do. And it was interesting because I kind of reached this point that I thought, okay, so for years I've had this dream of moving to Bali, and then you reach that dream.
So what do I do now?
And it kind of feels like you've reached your upper limit. I don't know if you know the book, The Big Leap.
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
It talks about reaching your upper limit and how sometimes that can kind of keep you down as well. You have to find a new upper limit. So I took quite a while to figure out what I wanted to do, but in my journaling kept coming back like, this is a powerful message that you can share with the world. And I started to find out that when I talked to people about my alcohol-free journey, it resonated, and other people also became alcohol-free because of it, or tried that journey as well. And that kind of gave me the confirmation that this would be the right path to go on. But it was also really scary because there were a lot of beliefs around what are people going to think about me when I step forward as this person who had a problem with alcohol. Like I found that really scary at first.
Well, it's a vulnerable place to be in.
Yeah,
it is.
It kind of is. Because I thought, what if everyone's going to think I was some kind of alcoholic? Or I don't know. Or also the beliefs, who am I to help other people? Am I even qualified or good enough to do that? And
how did you tackle those moments?
Did a lot of inner work, a lot of meditation, journaling, coaches helped as well. I'm a firm believer of investing in yourself and in
100%.
Enhancing your skills and getting better and better and better at what you do.
Yeah, I think it's like a little key to elevate your life. That like, it's like a secret. It's like getting a mentor or a coach to help you get where you need to go, and someone who's already done it. I think as humans we kind of need that.
We do,
We need that guidance.
We do, and I feel like especially Americans are already really good at asking for that help. But especially in the Netherlands, it's like, no, I'm going to do everything myself. I don't need any help. So I also had to kind of shift that mindset that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
And then my coach said something that kind of stuck, which was, who are you going to show up for? For those few people from back home that are probably not even in your circle of real friends, but kind of old work colleagues or an aunt or uncle, or people that don't even have the lives that you aspire to have. Are you going to show up for those few people with an opinion? Or are you going to show up for all those people you're going to help by sharing your message? So that's what I always think of now when I have those doubts or feel a bit insecure about sharing all this stuff on Instagram.
And the beauty about it too is the more true you are to yourself and the more genuine you are, like you are showing up today, the more you're going to attract the people that are like you. And I think that's the beauty of it, is even when you're first beginning, it's like, oh, who's going to resonate with this? Like, and I get that feeling a lot. Who am I talking to? Like, is anyone actually out there? But knowing deep down, like, you know that this is what you're meant to do, and also knowing that those people are going to find you. And that's the really cool part of this whole process, I think, is understanding that. And as long as you're true to yourself. And I mean, just even being vulnerable is so powerful as well, because people are so scared to tell their truth and be who they really are, and actually show other people that it's okay to do these certain things. There's so much beauty in that.
There is, really Have you struggled with any of those limiting beliefs about...
Oh, absolutely. Don't even get me started. I mean, even just at the beginning of this journey, like, I knew life coaching was, as I'm an intuitive mindset coach, but life coaching as the study was what I wanted to do. But it's interesting that you said about your psychic experience. I had a healer from Bali, and he kind of planted a little seed in there, because he said to me that, he's like, you're a healer. He's like, what do you do for work? And he's like, and before I could even answer, he goes, you don't do healing, you work for money. And I was working in the mining industry at the time, and I was feeling so lost. And he's like, you have such a strong connection with spirit, but you're not listening. And I knew deep down, I knew exactly what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of what started getting me to think about what I wanted to do. And then that's when I started studying. But I've had to do a lot of work to demolish those limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. But I think it's the stronger I've allowed my intuition to come through, the better it has been for me, because I know deep down it's like it's really speaking to me. And mm-hmm. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared of what people see me as or what they think about what I'm doing. At the end of the day, this is something that I love, and I really, really want to help other people do the same. So I've been able to work through that. But I actually saw a healer 2 weeks ago.
Oh, interesting.
And just to see, because it's been 3 years since I saw one, I was like, just to see where I'm at, and this one was really renowned. And it was the most shocking experience I've ever had in my life.
In a good way or a bad way? Oh, okay.
As soon as I walked in, he sat me down and he told me about my past life. And I've always had a feeling I was a man in my past life. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I actually went to Peru and did ayahuasca, and I was talking to a man, and he kept telling me, you're a man. And I was like, why is he telling me this? And anyway, he sat me down and he goes, you were a man in your past life. And I said, I didn't say anything. And he goes, you already knew that though, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I did. And my partner was sitting there looking at me like, what's going on? But yeah, he said to me that I used to be like a mentor, like a leader in the community that people would come to ask for help. And he said, you actually come to this life, you wanted to do that as a female, but you want to be you wanted to do coaching or mentorship. And he goes, what are you doing for work? And I was like, I've actually just started coaching. And he just said, well, congratulations, you're following your purpose. Like, it's so good to see that.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. And then we went on, and then he said, because my dream is to own a resort and have people actually come and do like a week
retreats.
And actually really focus on the people that need that huge breakthrough that they've been seeking, and have a week to actually do that. And he actually said to me, he goes, you need to own a retreat. And I was like, oh. It was just so comforting to hear that.
Amazing.
So the power in spirituality, the power in psychics and healers and things like that, I really do think they can tap into another element. Yeah. So how has Bali, moving to Bali, influenced your, this life that you're creating now?
It's been quite a journey, a beautiful one, but it's also challenging at times, because a lot of people only see the nice pictures on Instagram of you being in this beautiful setting on a tropical island, but it's also like you're building a whole new life together with your family, which can also be challenging. But I think the biggest shift for me was what I kind of missed in Amsterdam in city life. It's all very individualistic.
Yes.
So people are very busy. You drop your kids off at school, everybody's off immediately. There's hardly any connection. Living in the city, the kids couldn't really go to their friends' houses or by themselves. I don't know, it was all very much everyone on their own little island. And here in Bali, and especially through the school that our kids are on, we were just part of this beautiful community of like-minded people. And especially, I say like-minded because that's what I kind of missed sometimes in Amsterdam. I always felt like the odd one out for not feeling completely content with the life everybody was settling for.
It's hard, isn't it?
And I often looked around and thought, don't you feel this way? Like you're super bummed out about just going to work from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and then you've got a super busy weekend with your family, and then everything starts again and that's it. Like, is this okay for you guys? And everyone was like, yeah, it's just what it's like, you know? And I'm like, what? I felt like, sometimes a bit alone in that. And moving to Bali, everyone thinks like that.
Yes.
Because they're all trailblazers who decided at one point that they wouldn't settle for what everyone is settling for in the Western world and just change things up. And that's been really rewarding and amazing.
I think Bali attracts people who are a little bit more consciously aware, without saying that in a demeaning way, but it's just more that tapping out of that matrix and knowing that there's more to life than the 9 to 5. There's more to life than, you know, coming home and being tired and exhausted and doing it all over again the next day. And there's more to life to actually follow your true purpose as well.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that we all are here for a purpose.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think society has kind of masked that with numerous different things, as we know, that don't allow us to tap into that.
Yeah.
So I think you had that opportunity, especially working on yourself and connecting with yourself on a deeper level, without alcohol too. You've been able to tap into that and really know, what am I here for? Which is so beautiful and it's so powerful.
But it's also daring to take that leap of faith, because we basically burned all our savings in a year.
As you do.
On this Bali adventure.
Yeah.
And I remember just when we were about to leave, a lot of people said to me, yeah, but we could never do what you are going to do because we don't have that many savings.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you bought a house a couple of years ago. If you would sell your house now, you would have triple my savings. And you could do this for 3 years.
Yeah.
But people are so stuck in their comfort zone and so scared to move out of that.
Yeah.
So it's also having the guts to take that leap of faith and just do it.
Yeah.
And trust that things will be all right.
Yeah. And I think in the unknown is where we learn the most, and where life really just goes. So if something feels scary and it does feel like I don't know what's going to happen, I think that's what we're here to do, is experience those moments.
Exactly.
And not be too comfortable. Because in comfort, we lose the joy, right? I think. Not for everyone, but from my experience, I do feel that we start losing joy when we're really comfortable.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in the rat race.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that's not what we came here on earth to do.
Yeah.
I think we came here on earth to just experience life and have all these great adventures and that feed your soul and that
challenge
make you
yourself.
Happy and challenge you and bring you to the next level. And a lot of people kind of stay stuck at the same level. And it's fine as long as you're happy. But I think a lot of people are actually not happy. If you look at the Western world and all the burnouts and people that feel depressed. And I think I saw in research that 80% of people in America actually don't like their job or career. You're like, what are you all doing with your lives, you know?
Wow. And they're just chasing money.
Yeah.
To survive. Survival mode.
Survival mode, And it's such a shame because life can be so beautiful if you just...
have the courage.
Yeah.
Yep. Do something different.
Because we didn't have a house in Amsterdam anymore. We literally came with 5 suitcases and we had like 20 boxes in storage. And that's our life right now. We don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We just took the leap of faith and made it work.
And the universe rewards courage. I find
believe that.
a lot of the time, like I've noticed with myself when I've done those really crazy things that it's just like I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know that it's right for me.
Yeah.
The universe has just kind of like cradled me throughout it. It's like, yes, this is scary, but this is fine. You're going to be fine. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah. And it was also going through this whole journey again of trusting the process because most bets were on my husband getting the job because of the field he's in.
So what does your husband do?
He's an expert in organizational design.
Cool.
So
that sounds like an
he
interesting
helps bigger companies restructure and work more efficiently.
Yep.
And he started as a freelancer, but for a long time, not a single assignment came by. And then we were like, uh-oh, is this going to work?
Yeah.
And you see like your bank account shrinking.
Yeah.
And you're like, something has to come up now.
Yeah.
Universe, hello.
Yeah.
We took the leap of faith.
Help me out.
Help us out. And then at the end, like when it became a bit stressful almost, boom, he gets a year contract for a freelance job.
So you reckon it was testing you to see if you really could withstand it?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah.
So it's also a challenging time when you're kind of laying this whole new foundation in this whole new life. The kids have to get used to a new school.
Yep.
They have to make new friends. We moved a couple of times in order to find our perfect house that we managed to find now. But that also took more than a year and a couple of moves to get there. So the first year is really exhilarating and everything's new and amazing and you feel so awake all of a sudden again.
Yeah.
But it's also challenging and scary at times and makes you question, are we doing the right thing and is it going to work? And
yeah. So tell me how you navigated all of that when you first came. Like, how did you find the right, because I know my audience, there's a lot of people who are interested in moving to Bali and have got kids as well, and it's probably just a thought at the moment, but yeah, how did you actually kind of move forward with that when you got here and figure out, okay, where are the kids going to go, and what did anything help you, or did you kind of just do it all on your own? Or
I think what helped was I was already planning this for 3 years, of course, so I had the dream. So I was already following a bunch of schools that had my interest on Instagram. So you already kind of get to know the schools and what they look like and what their vision is.
Yeah.
I also knew Bali a little bit, and I knew that Ubud and the Ubud area where we live now resonated most with us and our values. So when we came here, we could already narrow it down to Ubud and then 3 or 4 schools that we wanted to visit.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, so that made it a bit easier.
Yeah. And then we visited those schools, and the school that I kind of already knew from the start was going to be it turned out to be the best option. And so we went with that. And then when looking for a house, my biggest tip would be never take a house before you've actually seen it.
Oh, 100%.
Because the pictures and the little movies they make can be so deceiving. You always have to step into the house in order to feel the vibe and see if it's a place that you could feel at home in.
Yeah.
So we also picked out the house ourselves. So if you come to Bali, I would suggest you rent a temporary Airbnb or something for a month and then start your house hunt from here.
And there's a lot of scams to be wary of as well.
A lot of scams.
I was very intense. My poor landlord. I didn't put him through the ringer, but gosh, I made him supply every ounce of documentation possible. Yeah, because I heard so many stories. And even I've got friends who are living here at the moment. They've been through it as well, losing money.
Yeah.
So you have to be very wary of that. I found making sure that you get their identification and getting it stamped with Indonesian, it's I don't know how to explain it, but you get an Indonesian stamp to solidify it as well. So there's quite a few things I did to make sure it was a good process, but it can be pretty nerve-wracking and overwhelming. But you're 100% right. Do not ever.
No, do not ever.
Because
we had a family in school from the States who took a house and they already paid up front for 3 or 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And they stayed there, but they didn't love it.
Yeah.
And they said, oh God, if I'd known this, then we never would have taken a house without seeing it. So that's a big lesson there.
Even doing a month, asking if you can do a month in the house. And if you love it, you could do a year. Because I think that's what I'm now thinking I should have done. Not that I don't love my place, but now that I've explored a little bit more and been here for a bit longer, I'm I could have done with this and that. And
exactly. Yeah, and I feel especially as a family, you should also be mindful of a thing called the expat curve. Don't know if you've heard about that. No. It's when the first couple of months, if you're in a new place, you're almost in this honeymoon phase. You only see the good things. You kind of feel like you're on holiday. Everything's perfect and beautiful, and you're so happy. And then you reach this high, and after about 4 or 5 months, usually, you kind of get a dip in that.
Okay.
And you start to realize, okay, this is normal life. It's not a holiday. I can also feel like shit here some days.
Yes.
And not everything is perfect. And hey, I notice my relationship is actually under a lot of strain because all of a sudden we're together a lot and we're not used to that, for example. especially if you don't have a job at the beginning. You do everything together.
24/7, right?
Like you have to reestablish your whole relationship and the dynamics in the family. So there's a lot going on. So if this happens, don't be discouraged. It's part of the first year. Like I said, it's a fun year, but it's also, I think, the most challenging year. I'm actually looking forward to next year when we're going to spend the summer in Europe and then come back in August for the new school year. And I'm actually looking forward to how relaxed it's all going to be. Because the kids are used to the school. We've got friends, we've got a great house, we know our way around, so it's going to be so much more chill.
Coming home.
And easy, like coming home.
Yeah, amazing. And what are some of the things that are happening for you in the next 12 months that you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm doing this amazing mastermind training with this alcohol-free coach in the States that has been pushing me to become better and better at what I do. And we have a business retreat in Palm Springs coming up with about 22 of us. So I'm really looking forward to that because I think that's going to make me an even better coach and push myself even more.
And being surrounded by like-minded people, that's why group coaching can be really good sometimes too. But even just like if you're getting like a little bit of an idea that you want to do something, doing those type of things, even like a retreat or just going on one of those events where it is a network of people, can be so empowering, and you learn so much more because not only have you got that person there who's like navigating you through what they're teaching, but you've also got other people and their experiences that you can bounce off.
And what I found really rewarding, because I never had a community of sober people around me. I was always the only sober one, which is fine. But now through this group that I'm doing this mastermind coaching with, they're all sober and they're all in this community, and it's really nice to have those people around me.
Empowering.
I never kind of realized that I missed that. So I would really encourage sober curious people to kind of find your group of other sober curious or sober people, because that can help a lot.
And how did you go finding that in Bali? Have you been able to find that? Is there a lot of sobriety around or sober curiousness?
It's really easy to be sober in Bali because people here, they already live their life so consciously that they either don't drink or they drink a beer. But alcohol is like almost non-existent in the community.
I'm noticing
that we're part of now.
So
it's been really easy not to drink here. And for me, wine was always my go-to drink. And you don't really have good wines on Bali. So.
Unless it's imported from Australia, but it's like 20 times the price.
A supermarket wine that's actually not good at all, and you end up paying $50 for it here. So.
Well, that's a good motivator, isn't it?
It's been very easy not to drink here, and it's not even an issue here for people.
And especially because people are expat living and they're following a lot of people are doing their own business. I find that they are so focused on that they don't really want to explore feeling shit and going out and partying, because it takes up the time that they can actually focus on themselves and their businesses. So I found that really interesting.
But for the people that are not in Bali and are still like in Australia or wherever in the world where alcohol is a big thing, I know that most big cities have sober communities that you can join, who will hold like meetings or organize fun things.
And it might be even just a matter of, like, I know there's this good app called Meetups. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you can actually go and hang out with people and do something that's within your forte. So it might be like art classes or hiking, and they're good opportunities, even just as a stepping stone to actually go and hang out with people while doing an activity. Because maybe you've only ever really gone out for dinner and like that's how you socialized and drank and gone to different events that involve alcohol, but actually trying those activities that are more exercise focused or creative focused, so you're not actually tempted to drink, and you start meeting people on that kind of level. I found that to be quite helpful for myself as well. So what do you think people misunderstand about being sober and sobriety itself?
Well, I think the biggest misunderstanding is that most people feel like they are giving up something, like I'm giving up alcohol. It's also how you phrase it. But you're actually getting so much in return, and I think the focus should be more on that. Like people feel like I'm giving so much up, so much fun, and a big part of my life, but like
Even
you
a part
have
of
no
themselves in a
idea
way.
what you get in return. So much energy, clarity, feeling mentally stable and good. No more hangovers, no more anxiety. Just realness. Just God, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
It just feels so good to not be dependent on any kind of substance anymore, to have a good time. That feels so empowering.
Oh, it would be, absolutely.
And life is still fun, people, because I think that is a big misconception that it's impossible to go to a bar until 2 o'clock and dance or have fun at dinner parties and the beginning especially will be challenging and different, and you kind of have to get used to the new you also in this setting.
Yeah.
But it's still fun, and you will find also new ways to have fun.
Yeah, and you get to know who your true self is in that process. And what do they actually
What
like
do
to
I
do?
actually like? And like a big one for me was that I was not as extrovert as I thought I was.
I did see a post that you posted
I'm
the other
actually
day.
more of an introvert. Like under the influence of alcohol, I loved those nights of talking small talk to practical strangers for hours and hours, and it would be about absolutely nothing. And now, if I have a night like that when I'm at a party, sober, talking to those people, I find it exhausting. Like at 10 o'clock, I'm looking at my watch thinking, can I go home now and do something I actually enjoy?
It's funny you say that, because I think it took me to start getting sober curious to realize I'm actually ambivert. So I thought I was extroverted for a really long time, but when I started going, you know what, I don't want to drink tonight. I don't want to actually go out and party. I just want to, like, I'll go and just be social. Then I was like, why am I being so introverted? I was like, am I actually introverted? And then I realized that I have a social battery that I haven't been even listening to for so long. And I would drink to make that battery go up during that process, but I didn't need that. I didn't want that. And it took me a long time to figure that out.
It's
so I was
interesting,
very
right?
much the same, on the same path as you.
And also at the beginning, especially at dinner parties, I would just get really tired around 11 o'clock. Because it's your natural clock telling you it's time to go to bed. And if you drink alcohol, you kind of push through that. And it gives you energy and you keep going. But this also made me realize, like, how many times have I pushed my own boundaries and kind of ignored what's naturally happening inside of you. But I do struggle with that sometimes, that I just start yawning at like 11.
Well, it's time to go to bed.
It's time to go to bed, but it's sometimes it's hard to make it till like 1 or 2 a.m. I must be honest about that.
But sleep is important too at the end of the day, and I think even with drinking, a lot of the hangover comes from the lack of sleep, which we spoke about, not getting the REM. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world if you have to go to bed, right?
No,
like,
it's
you still
not.
want to feel good the next day, so I get that.
And especially having kids, you know, I'm in a different phase of life as well, so it's all good. I have to be up early anyway every day, so.
No, that's understandable.
And
right now, how do you support people that are wanting to maybe explore sobriety or sober curious? What are you doing?
A lot is focused on one-on-one coaching, where we will tackle first the reasons why you drink and really get deep into that. And then you'll find you'll have a lot of beliefs, and often limiting beliefs around alcohol, that are actually really easy to debunk because they're not true in essence. So we'll work through a lot of that. You'll probably get a lot of homework from me to do around this as well. But I found that after you take away or remove alcohol from your life, and a client is kind of going with that and feeling better and better, it gives a lot of space for new things to come in. And it gives the client a chance to start thinking about dreams and wishes that maybe have been there deep down inside for a long time, but have never been able to get out or flourish. So a big part of it is also focusing on that. Like, what do you really want to do? Is the life that you're having now, is it fulfilling you? Is it giving you purpose? Is it making you happy? Or is there something else we can explore around that? And I feel like those two are really tied together.
Yeah.
The moment you remove alcohol, it brings in space for new things to come in. And you'll find like you'll start attracting things that match, like you said, your true self better.
Yeah. And what about the older generation that maybe they've seen their kids come and go and now they're moving into that next period of their life? How can they sort of embrace leaning towards being sober curious? Because there are a lot of patterns that they've built or programs in their mind that has been with them for a very long time.
Yes.
So yeah, I was just thinking, like, what about the older generation? Is there something you can advise or something you can give them?
Well, it's never too late to quit. A lot of people think, oh, I've reached a certain age, it doesn't matter anymore. It always matters. You can always reverse the consequences of what alcohol did to your brain and your body and your system by quitting, no matter what age. So it's never useless. And I think especially when getting older, it's important to feel your best self, to feel energetic and good in your body and have a good mental state. And think of when you get your grandchildren maybe.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if you could just be full of energy and fully present around them?
Yep. Yeah.
And
well said.
yeah, my mom quit alcohol actually after I quit.
Oh, so you were a bit of a motivator?
She quit completely as well. So I think you're never too old to quit.
That ripple effect, hey?
Ripple effect, yeah.
I love that.
Lead by example.
Yeah. Now, I do have one last question for you. This is one of my favorite questions. But if you had the opportunity to go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would that be?
To always trust myself and the process, to always trust that I'm exactly at the right spot at the right time and that things are happening exactly as they're supposed to happen, because in the end you'll see the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And why you went through that and why you got that lesson and why you felt like that. And it all makes sense at the end.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Just trust that and don't stress out too much. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah, stress is the worst enemy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, if people are wanting to reach out and follow you or contact you, how can they do that?
I'm on Instagram. My Instagram name is The Sober Expat. I think I'm the only one there, so they should be able to find me. Yeah, they can just get in touch through DMs and like I said, I'm doing this awesome mastermind now, and I'm learning so much about the alcohol-free coaching and how I can serve my clients better, that I actually want to give 2 beautiful women that are feeling cold by listening to us right now the opportunity to get in touch, and I will do a free coaching session with them.
How beautiful.
So if they feel the call, and maybe this is your cue to go for it. Yeah,
beautiful. And I'll pop all your details anyway with Instagram handle and whatnot in the comment section. So if anyone does see that, they can reach out to you personally.
Yeah, cool.
Lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time. It was so empowering talking to you.
I love talking to you too.
So much, but everything you've said today has just been amazing. So
thank you so much
for
having me.
You're more than welcome.